Okay, thank you. You can come in, Tony.
Okay. Now let me first share my screen. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So, Matthias, thank you. So we want to start with the EDA, whereby EDA basically is like you're trying to explore more of the data, so that while you're exploring more of the data, to draw insights that will help you choose a nice ML model, machine learning model, that will use to further analyze your data and predict or draw conclusions and recommendations out of your data. We start by examining the dataset structure using df.shape to get the number of rows and columns, df.columns to obtain the variable names. Joseph did it here, whereby we did the df.isNull to check the sum of null values in the columns of your data set. It's very important to check that, so that you can't be working with data that is incomplete. You're supposed to clean it first. Okay. Then the df.isNull, the one that I've explained, .sum, is to check the count of missing values in each column. We then focus on exploring the numerical variables by selecting them into the numeric _vars list, which I've done down here. We use df numeric _vars to describe to compute summary statistics such as count, mean, standard deviation, to obtain the frequency of each category in each variable. Additionally, we demonstrate how to examine specific variables. For example, we print the first few rows of the weekly sales variables using df _weekly sales.head to check the unique values in the store variable using df store.unique and calculate the count of each category in the holiday_flag variable using the df holiday_flag.value_counts into bracket. I've done it down here. Now this is the basic statistic summary of the whole data by having this code here. Then you run it. It will give you this output. Then we explore categorical variables frequency for each category. Now here, exploring basically EDA, you should be exploring the data in every way that you can, so that you can draw insights from it. Now here, by exploring the categorical variables frequency of each category, I was able to, the output of the code will display the count of concurrences for each unique combination of categories within the specified variables. It provides a count of how many times each unique combination appears in the dataset. Like here now, store 1, which had holiday that was 0, had appeared 133 times. The same as for store 14 with holiday 0, appeared 133 times, so on and so on. For store 45, which had holiday 1, appeared 10 times. Which I've explained down here. The combination of store value 1 and holiday_flag value 0 appears 133 times. The combination of store value 14 and holiday_flag value 0 appears 133 times, which is up here. Store 1, 0, 133 times. Store 14, 0, 133 times. By examining the frequency of each category, you can understand the distribution and prevalence of different categories within the categorical variables. This information can help identify dominant categories or imbalances in the dataset and guide further analysis or decision making. By this also you can decide to explore the specific variables in the dataset. Like now down here, I was able to print the specific variable of weekly sales dot head. This code right here was able to view the first few rows, which I was able to view the first few rows down here. Then the print df store dot unique, the unique values now of the store was able to be printed out, and print df holiday underscore flag dot value underscore counts is the count of each category, respectively the output. Okay. Now with EDA we won't be complete if you don't visualize the data, so that you can understand more of it. By visualization, you're able to understand the trends, you're able to understand the correlation between the data, between the different variables of the data. You're able to understand more of the data. And now in Python, we use NumPy and pandas to visualize the data. So in this category, it was pandas, which basically is the plotting of histograms, plotting of bar graphs, plotting of pie charts, plotting of heat maps, to help you understand more. Heat maps most of the time is used to understand the correlation of the data, which I've done down here. Okay, let's start from the top with the histograms. Now here, with the data, I try to plot the histograms of weekly sales. Just df.hist column weekly sales plt.show. Without the plt.show, I won't be able to get this output. Here, I was able to understand that from the weekly sales of 0.5 to 1.0, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5, they were declining, as shown above. Then I'm also plotting the histograms of fuel prices. I did it here. I plotted the histogram of CPI. This was my result. And I plotted the histogram of unemployment too. This was my result. Plot scatter plot for weekly sales versus temperature. Now for the scatter plot, it has to be two variables being compared, or it can be even one. But to understand more of the data, you have to. For me, I prefer having two of the variables to compare in the X and Y axis, where in this situation, I was able to use temperature and weekly sales to determine when how the temperature was affecting the weekly sales and how the weekly sales were being affected by the temperature. And also the hue was my holiday flag, which is right here. That was my result. Plot box for weekly sales by CPI too. I was able to determine when the CPI and the weekly sales, how the CPI or the weekly sales is able to affect the CPI, or the CPI affecting the weekly sales. And this was my result. Basically, all this I was doing is trying to explore more of the data. I prefer doing a comparison of any of the variables, so that I can understand more of the data. It's not a crime to try it all the way through. It's an added advantage in drawing the insights. I was also able to plot the box plot of weekly sales by CPI, just here. And then finally, the plot heat of correlation of data. I was able to correlate. Just a minute. uh, I was able to plot the heat map of the correlation of the data, which is my correlation was trying to compare the weekly sales, temperature, fuel price, CPI, and employment. Uh, from here, we can tell that the blue signifies it was low, while the red signifies it was high. So when the temperature was low, we could tell that we could tell that unemployment and temperature, weekly sales and temperature, you go side by side until they meet at 90 degrees, and then you could tell from your data whichever that you'll be correlating with. And finally, remember that EDA is an interactive process, and you may need to go back and forth between different steps as you uncover new insights or encounter new data challenges. The goal is to gain a comprehensive understanding of the dataset and uncover valuable information to guide subsequent analysis or decision making. Like I've said, while conducting the EDA, when you do more of the comparisons or the statistical analysis of the data, is when you'll be able to draw meaningful insights from the data. That's what I did for my EDA. Anyone who has an addition or a subtraction? Xavier.
Okay, thank you so much, Tony. I think it is a good attempt, and given that this is a community learning, uh, like we are trying to learn from each other and so on. So maybe Tony, is because when you are doing the exploratory data analysis, you are trying to see, as you have said, that how various variables are distributed and so on. I was
Yes.
so much keen on the interpretation side because for anyone who is not a technical guy, that is what we are into. Like most people are interested on. Like when you plotted, go upwards a bit.
Where?
The first plot, I think. Yeah, I think this one. What does it mean? Like you need to interpret what does it mean. Is it something that we will be using and so on? I come again to the scatter plot, because this scatter plot, for those guys who are doing certified business analytics experts, it was there was a scatter plot in one of the exams. They brought something like this, then they required you to do some kind of interpretation and so on. That's why I'm very keen for my case, I'm very keen on the
Explanation part.
business side. Yeah, the business side as compared to the technical side. Because at the end of the day, we need to communicate. Of course, this is not the end result. There's the process. We are still under the exploratory data analysis and so on.
Yeah.
It is still preliminary stage. And Tone, I understand that you are one of our students who just did the IBEC exams recently, and you know how they want, how weighty it is in all this process and so on. So maybe explanation, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Sorry. And also maybe we can contribute. I know the August intake and other intake students who are part of this community already, you have gone through this. Maybe can you assist in interpretation? Anyone? Maybe we start from the first one.
This right here.
There, yes.
This one I could tell that it was sketchy a bit because of my x and y axis not being defined well. But okay. Because from the weekly cells, I was not able to identify the labels for the y and the x axis. But the weekly cells were seeming to be declining as the week was going by. That's what I can say about it. And I'll add on more explanation on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Then
Mhm.
for the scatter is that like when the,
Before, sorry, before you go to the scatter, go upwards.
okay.
Okay, yeah, no, there is a bar chart that looks like a broken one. It is not continuous.
Or this the CPI.
Yes, exactly, the CPI.
The same
Maybe
problem I was having with
just
the
go there.
weekly sales. Okay.
Yeah, just go there.
Hmm.
Can anyone, apart from Tony, just leave alone Tony? Anyone, I know most of you have gone through the statistics unit and so on. What does it tell you? When you plot and you get such like kind of a distribution, what does it tell you? Because it is not continuous. What does it tell you about your data? Anyone? Bill, it has been a long time since we interacted. Do you have anything to tell us, Bill?
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Uh, I think that for such a case, there were no data for s- for some. There were no data in that case.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bill. Yeah, that means when you just plot and you find such kind of a plot, it means you had maybe missing values and so on because it is not continuous.
Yeah.
So that's why this is called exploratory data analysis. It can even assist you to identify the patterns about your data and so on. Because when you are dealing with such huge amounts of data and so on, you see, you cannot go row by row, try to identify if you have missing values and so on. Sometimes you can use such kind of visualizations that can assist you to be able to identify missing values and so on. So even it assists, maybe your system is not picking properly the data of the customers and so on. So you are able to identify it early and address it. That's another importance of data visualization. And more specifically, here we are talking about the EDA. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Tony.
Yeah, that's why at the end of it, I had said that remember it is an interactive process that you may need to go back and forth between different steps as you uncover new insights.
Yeah, thank you. Go to the scatter plot. We go now to the scatter plot.
So this one.
Yes. What can you say about the scatter plot? Can you try to explain something?
Uh, what I can say is that the weekly sales were being affected by temperature more so. When the holiday flag was one, you'll see that the scatter plot when the blues are higher, are a bit congested together, making that making it there was some consistency of weekly sales at that point. But when the but when the but when the holiday flag was uh was one, uh the weekly sales were affected drastically. That's why you could see that they are a bit apart and scattered in the graph. That's what I can say about that.
Okay, thank you so much for
Yeah,
that. I was trying to.
there was no consistency when the old flag was one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe generally, what can you say about the relationship between weekly sales and temperature?
Weekly sales and temperature.
Yes.
So they recorded low sales with
Mm-hmm.
with a with, let's say between 20 to 80 degrees of temperature. But when the sales were high between between 20 and 80 degrees, it was also a drastic decline of cells.
Thank you, but
Destruction of
there's
cells.
something I'm interested in, and let me pick someone.
Okay.
Uh, Let me try and pick someone with maybe do we have anyone from the March intake? I think Brenda Kwamboka. What's the relationship between weekly cells and temperature? Is it a positive, a negative, or which kind of relationship? I'm sure Musembi has already covered this.
Yes, we have already covered. I can say it's positive.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, the relationship is positive.
And then the distribution from the, what do we say? The distribution, or I can say the correlation is small. That's why they're clustered at the same. No, that one I'm not sure about it.
Okay, but thank you so much. You have
Yes.
tried so much with it in regards to the kind of relationship. It's a positive one.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe anyone to add more on what Brenda has said, especially those people who are covering the statistics unit now. I'm very keen here because for those who are our students, I understand that we are not all students here. It is a question that I normally see in the certified business analytics expert exam. And also for those doing the certified data scientist, Tony can attest to you how you need to document your project properly to explain each and every step. Okay, maybe back to you, Tony, but it is a learning process. It is not like an exam or whatever. It is just a learning process.
Yeah, and it's not the final one. There is
Yeah,
room for changes.
yeah, sure.
Uh,
Okay, maybe we can proceed. Anything else that maybe we need to explain?
Maybe add-ons. I,
Can
I
you
was
scroll
thinking if we
downwards
could
a bit?
visualize it in Tableau and see how it goes by. How do you think?
Sure.
Yeah.
But you see, it has a lot of the problem with Tableau. Yeah, Tableau can do the EDA,
Mhm.
but I think when now we go to that machine learning aspect, because the objective of our project, based on the just a minute, I'm trying to go to the community learning. What we intend to achieve. Okay, I don't know where that has disappeared. The copy, but we are doing sales forecasting. That's the end game here. That's the so you see, Tableau might not be. It can do EDA, of course, but it might not give us what we want in the long run because it can just assist us to visualize the data and so on, but it can be done.
Okay.
Maybe it is something guys can attempt. And Tony will share the data set if you have access to it in the group. There was someone who was asking.
Okay.
Okay, thank
I will share it.
you. Scroll downwards again a bit. You see, this one, it is very difficult to interpret.
True.
Yeah, go downwards. There was no,
Very difficult. Yeah.
yeah, this one also, it's very difficult. Yeah, this
With
one.
the
Did you
it,
explain the interpretation of this one?
yeah, yeah.
Maybe you can come up again in case there was no one. Maybe those who did not hear.
For the heat map, it has a scale here where I'm pointing. So you could relate it with let's say like for the at a 90 degree conjunction, like the fuel price with the temperature like this, then that way you could relate it that way.
So
Then you could
because I have again this, I just want the statistics guys again to explain. Yes, I know they haven't, everyone here who is doing our courses, of course, has done the statistic unit, but I'm more interested on those who are doing recently. Maybe Tony, you can pick two variables and I pick someone so that they can explain us to us what that correlation means.
temperature and fuel price.
Yeah, temperature and fuel price, that's 0.14, right?
Yeah, 0.14.
Okay. Let me pick someone. Oh, in the January intake, it is only Brenda who is in. Brenda, maybe you can assist us to explain what does that correlation mean of 0.14. That's between fuel price and temperature. How can you interpret it?
Wow. Okay, I really don't understand much, but from what we have learned, I think it's within the range of between. So I still can't interpret that.
Okay, thank you. No worries. Maybe I can pick another person. Yes, Bill. Yes, Bill, I see your hand is up.
Okay, let me try.
Okay.
It's a positive correlation, but it's not that strong.
Okay, yes, thank you. It is a positive correlation, but it is not strong. What do you mean by at what point do we say, like, what is the cutoff point that we are saying that this is a strong correlation and this is a weak correlation?
Because a correlation should be between -1 and 1, where the negative is the negative correlation and positive 1 is the positive correlation. So when we talk of strength, I think it's in the medium where we have got 0.5, and this one falls between 0.5 and 0, which is a weak positive correlation.
Yeah,
That,
yeah, sure.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Bill. So there's a weak positive correlation between fuel price and temperature. Okay. Is there anything, Tony, remaining?
No, I think we're done.
Okay.
That was it.
So maybe we'll share the notebook in the group,
Okay.
but at the same time, we will be requesting other guys to take us through the remaining parts of the project, because the end goal was not EDA, but to come up with a final model and even to do the deployment and so on. So you can have still those people can work maybe with Tony to take this project to the final documentation. And Philip, I saw your hand was up at some point. I don't know if you had a question. Okay, thank you. So maybe you can just share that data set, Tony, but today let us end it here, and we will be requesting some more people to join Tony, maybe to assist in taking the project to the final, final, like I think the second last parts of it. So thank you so much, Tony. I think this is a good job done so far, and keep that learning spirit. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So Tony,
thank you. Welcome.
yeah. Okay, thank you. We can just end it here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all. Have a nice weekend.